to fruition. More notably was the acquisition of Muln's assets through a bankruptcy auction, where Muln was the winning bidder and got a tremendous asset, a factory that used to produce the Hummer H2 brand of vehicles in high volume, which was a part of AM General, which is a military installation that produces the H1 vehicles right next door, as well as it being a highly automated manufacturer of vehicles to the tune of 50,000 vehicles per year based on its capacity. It could paint in its paint shop 14 jobs per hour, fully automated. So we're talking about a very sophisticated operation that excels not only our path but our partners and acquired entities' path to production. The Bollinger B1 and B2, which I believe is an amazing vehicle, to the Muln 5, which is a exclamation point of our desire to build perfection as it relates to an electric vehicle. It's our entire group's signature series. Four-door electric SUV is produced 100% here in America by Americans, and initially going to be built for Americans. And this vehicle will start at a base of $55,000, and it'll go up from there depending on options and configurations. The vehicle will have carbon ceramic composite materials, carbon ceramic rotors, big brake kit, 23-inch wheels. These are all options that the consumer can add to the vehicle. There's an RS package that delivers 200 miles an hour plus 0 to 60 in under 1.95 seconds. The car is just an amazing vehicle. It definitely should be a game changer when it is released in the fourth quarter of 24, beginning of the first quarter of 25. We'll see the vehicles first hit the streets late in 23. These will be the production vehicles, but engineering vehicles that will start to tour all over the place and collect data. Performance specs will be predicated on how these vehicles do in their actual drive cycle tests throughout the period of, let's call it 12 months. So we're pretty excited to see this become a reality. We just completed the first couple of shows of our strikingly different tour for the Muln 5 that took place in Pasadena, California, and then again in Anaheim, California. It's moving now to Las Vegas, Nevada, and then it'll continue on to the South Central, South Atlantic. So we're pretty excited with what's happening at the company.
And you also just announced some plans that are global, and I think one of the things I really liked about this news release was the pricing of this product. You announced the iGo, your distribution and branding rights to the new compact urban delivery vehicle, the iGo, for European markets, and it's priced at $11,999, which I thought was great because a lot of the vehicles in this market, a lot of consumers are priced out of. So can you talk about that announcement and then what that means to the company as far as your global expansion?
Sure. We're excited about the iGo. It's a small urban delivery vehicle. In Europe, you have a issue with very dense areas, very small streets, and your larger vehicles are going to have a problem maneuvering, parking, and getting through traffic. So we see in countries like Germany, France, Spain, the UK, Ireland. These are areas that we're going to target heavily. We're in the process of finalizing deals with entities in some of these areas. The first one that's going to pop up is going to be a very large carrier of name brands like Mercedes and BMW and other major brands that are going to carry the iGo for us and initially start servicing out of Ireland and the UK, I believe. And that'll kickstart this. And then we're targeting Germany. We think we have some great opportunities there as well. Matter of fact, we're very encouraged about what we can do internationally with the iGo. So we're excited about that. We might even bring it into the U.S. at some point, depending on the success we have internationally with it, and maybe beef it up a little bit, offer a little bit more range, and who knows? But now it's fully homologated for the EU, so that means it can be sold now. We're actually in the process, as I stated earlier, negotiating a deal with. It looks like the first deal is going to be out of Ireland, which will service Ireland and the UK. We think this is a great European vehicle, and who knows? Could be a great U.S. vehicle, controlling interest in Bollinger. And that was for a reason, right? We knew that the B1 and B2, which I believe to be a generational type vehicle, I believe that this is going to do special things, right? This B1 and B2, to me, is what the Hummer would eventually develop into, meaning the current Hummer, the H1 that's in service with our government for now the last 30 years, is a vehicle that has been used during wartime and not wartime, but it's been in service for 30 years. Every so often, you need to have a successor to a particular, product. As an example, right? Our Air Force, we use the B-52 bomber, the strategic bomber. perform in all sorts of terrain, specifically terrain that would be conducive to war. Not that we want war, but if you're going to have war, you want a vehicle that is geared and developed to perform, meaning climb in areas where other vehicles, no matter who they are, can't get to. And that's what made the H1 special, was its ability to literally go in places that nobody else could go. I said, what perfect place to build the B1 than at a Hummer facility that was geared up for almost the same spec type of vehicle. So that it was pretty encouraging. It would accelerate the path to production on the B1 and B2, which ultimately my goal is to make this, or to get the U.S. government to see this potential that this vehicle has, excited about what we can do with it to make it military friendly. We look at the B1 and the B2 as a global military vehicle with mass appeal to the local population. And we think that makes it special and generational. And the plant that we've acquired accelerates the path to production to be able to get that vehicle out sooner than later. The facility in Mishawaka, Indiana can be ramped up to produce the Muln 5 and 5RS. So we would have multiple lines at that facility. A line for the B1, B2, and a line for the Muln 5 and 5RS. And so we cover the whole gamut of both commercial vehicles as well as these retail B1s, B2s, and Muln 5 and 5RSs at multiple locations. Tunica, Mississippi for commercial, and Mishawaka, Indiana for all our retail products. And we're on a path to producing vehicles, assembling vehicles, and doing the best thing that we could do as a responsible company in America, and that's putting Americans back to work, which is really the number one focus here. And currently, most companies like Muln that are pre-revenue use their public status and their stock as currency to generate the capital needed to execute on its plan. What Muln does is Muln's very efficient in how it operates. It's created billions and billions of dollars of value for hundreds of millions of dollars, meaning the assets that we acquired in this Elms bankruptcy auction at one point had a market cap north of $1.4 billion. The Elms assets were strategic reason. We knew that we were going to buy Bollinger. We knew that would be the quickest path to production for Bollinger at mitigating the cost by 10 times. So for us, it was a win-win-win because we knew exactly what the plan was. And then, to add the cherry to the ice cream, we could produce now the Muln 5 and 5RS there on a separate line. Now, let's put that in perspective. We have a plan that we went out publicly with, and we said, in order for us to build the Muln 5 and 5RS, we're going to spend at least $1.2 billion to $1.3 billion. And how we're going to spend that is we're going to expand the current Tunica facility by building out 1.2 to 1.3 million square feet, not including equipment to ramp up to produce the Muln 5 and 5RS. So now we've spent, less than that, $100 million for a factory that mitigates hundreds of millions of dollars of cost and saves years of time. I think that's a big win. I think that's a very smart strategic move. So it's not where you start, it's where you finish. It's like a puzzle. You put the pieces together, and you don't know what it's going to look like until you're done. Well, we put all the pieces together, and now we know what it's going to look like. So now it comes down to execution. When it comes to delivering vehicles to customers, which we're going to do, and then we'll let the public tell us how they value us, what they think we're worth.
Well, I really thank you for your overview of everything and your insight and definitely your passion.